Hey guys, it's Steven. Most traders lose money because they don't know where a stock price is likely to stop or turn. And that's exactly what support and resistance tell you. Support and resistance, I think, is one of the most important tools you can master as a trader because these are spots where price has changed direction before. And it often happens again when a stock returns to those price levels. And the fastest way to find those levels is literally look left on your chart. Just like when you're crossing a road and we were taught as a kid to look left and then look right. The one thing I do constantly on any chart I'm looking at is look to the left. The problem is most people look to the future. They're looking, where is the stock price going? And they're looking right on their charts. But the best traders are looking into the past. They're looking left on their chart to determine where the price is going in the future. And that's because the past leaves clues as to where the market is going next. Support is a price level where the market or a stock has stopped falling previously. And resistance is a price level where the stock or market has stopped rising, where sellers have entered the market previously. You can think of them like floors and ceilings, right? Support is the floor and resistance is the ceiling. The ceiling stops you from rising and the floor stops you from falling. One of the cool, interesting things about support and resistance is that support can become resistance and resistance can become support. And we'll talk about that in just a sec. But what I want to do is just literally look at a chart, and you should be able to do this. You should be able to look at this chart and immediately see support and resistance. Whenever I look at a chart like this, that's the first thing I'm seeing. This is the cues. Obviously, resistance is here where we are right now because we touched it once back here on July 31st. And we basically touched it again Friday the 8th, and we broke him through barely at this point, right? The market is in an uptrend, looks higher. This is a resistance area that we're breaking through. So what's going to happen is this resistance area, if we move a little further, trade up here, and then pull back, will become support, right? That is the ceiling. We're breaking through the ceiling and it's going to become support when we fall back down. So that's the most obvious on this chart, right? Support and resistance are often at what are called pivot points. And a pivot point just means a place where the market turns, right? You can get a pivot low and you can get a pivot high. That is a pivot high. That is a pivot low here. And that is a pivot high. And guess what this is? This is support. So look at what happens when the market moved up at the end of June. It paused here, moved lower. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Paused here, moved lower, moved up above this resistance level at the time. Once it moved through, the market came down and touched this level. And when I say level, when I'm talking support and resistance, I'm talking an area. I'm not talking to the penny. If I were telling someone, where is this support area, I would say at around 552, right? When you're talking a $550 stock or ETF like the Qs, it's around 552, right? We came up, touched the area, fell back, rose through 552, came back, touched it again, tried to bounce off of it, came back and touched it again, tried to bounce, touched it again. So this is a major, for me, a major support area now. So if the market falls back, that's a spot where I would be looking for long positions because now it's major support. You have another area of fairly major support here at 566. And again, the market came up, touched this level, bounced down, came up, touched the level, and paused again for another day, was able to move above 566, came down and touched it 2 more days, and then broke lower to this major support level that we were talking about, moved higher, paused for 2 days at this level, went higher on August 7th, came back and touched the level again, and then moved higher. So we've got another major support area at 566. So you're just looking for multiple touches. Again, this shouldn't be a difficult concept. You're just looking for places where the market is touching over and over, and that's your support and resistance. And then what I'm looking for at these areas when we come back is I'm looking for setups on a smaller time frame, generally intraday or swing trading on a 2-minute or a 5-minute. This is the daily chart. But I'm not even going to go into identifying a setup at the level, which is the next step. I'm just talking about you should be able to identify support and resistance in a split second on a chart. Look back here. Where is the next support area for Qs, the next major support area? If you said it's here, you're correct. And why is that? It was a resistance area. The market fell back. It had a strong move away from that area, right? So that was a big resistance area. When we gapped higher, we gapped right to that area and then started this big push away from it. So if the market pulls back to basically the 537 area, that's an area of support now because the market's trading above that area. So pulling back to that area would be support. And I would be looking for long setups depending on how we move back to that area. Let's take a look at one more. I just wanted to look at Amazon and where support and resistance is. We're going to make it a little bit bigger. Again, this is the daily chart. All I'm doing is getting the big picture view of some of my major support and resistance levels. And again, this is something that you should be able to do in just a couple of seconds looking at a chart. Where is the major resistance area for Amazon right now? Right? It's here. That was the top. In recent trading, it touched it twice and pushed away hard, right? So this area at 536 is a major resistance area. If you're looking at the chart right now, where's support? It should be pretty obvious, right? The major support area is here at this pivot. And look back to the left, right? We're not looking here. I'm looking here to the left. It came down and touched this level here. And look how important this level was before. We came up and touched it, moved above the level, came back again, moved above the level, came back again, and then moved above the level and moved higher. Multiple touch points at this 212 area. I think I said 212. I think I said another number before. 212 is the support area majorly for Amazon. Where's another support area? Right here. And here's the reason. Here around 218. That's where we came up to after we broke through this area and then fell back, right? You want to see turning at your support or resistance areas, right? The market has to turn. That's what makes it a support or resistance area. We turned, we finally broke through here in late June. We went higher, but look, we came back and touched it again as this was now support. We moved through and much higher, came back to this support area, like we said, around 212. And now if I wanted to get long Amazon, the next spot I'm going to look at is around this 218 area as a support area to get long Amazon down. Again, it's just looking left. If you had bought at this area as a support area around 212, what would be a good target? If you look left, you can tell it's here, because this was the area right around 224 that Amazon traded up to several times, traded through, and then back to. So now that 224 area is a good place to think about putting a stop in place, right? A stop. So you take profit around this area before it falls back to 218 and then possibly falls back to 212. You can also use support resistance. I use it this way. It's another way to use it. If you're scaling in and out of a position, if Amazon were trading here and you wanted to get into the position, into a long position, this would have been a good spot to buy. So if you bought some here, say you're going to buy 1,000 shares, 500 here, 500 here, and then scale back out as you rise back up through resistance levels and to resistance levels, right? If you bought 500 here and 500 here, sell 500 here, have a take profit, stop, tighten up your stop here around this resistance area. So you can use support and resistance to scale in and out of positions. I'm not going to go into what that looks like in pyramiding in this video. I want to keep this simple and just focused on support and resistance. I did make a very super simple cheat sheet. It's just a couple of pages long. If you want that, again, it's simple stuff, just going over what I'm going over in the video. You can type look in the comments and I'll get you that for free if you want it. Again, it's super simple, seven steps when you're looking at support and resistance. To me, this has to be one of the foundational basic tools that you master as a trader. I've told other people that I teach trading to, when I started learning trading 30 years ago, I took a technical analysis class at the time. We didn't have all the fancy indicators and things that we have now through things like TradingView. But at the time, I took this technical analysis class, and the person teaching the class said that they could beat the pants off the market just using support and resistance. I think that's 100% true, that you can beat the pants off the market by just trading around support and resistance levels. It's literally, if I lost all indicators and couldn't use the 20 simple moving average, which is just my red line on this chart, I would just be trading support and resistance. That's how important it is to master this. And you don't have to draw 30 support and resistance lines on your chart. Get the main levels, the major support and resistance areas. If you drop down to intraday, it should be very clear, right? On Amazon, where is resistance as we pull back here? Where is it? It's here, right? That's resistance. And what did Amazon do when it fell back earlier today? It went back up to resistance, then fell back to a little below the support area, but that support area held, and we moved back up as a simple first target. Your first target is now resistance. off of support, back to resistance. If I look back to the left and I'm long now from a support area, where would I look? First, I would look at this resistance, then this resistance, which is essentially the same, right? That resistance area. And what's my next resistance area? Here. Around 222.30. I'm a little more precise because this is a 2-minute chart. Look at the 5-minute chart. And what do we see? Right? It's a little clearer that that's a resistance area. But if we break through this resistance at 222, the next spot to look for a possible turn, 222.30. The next spot to look for a possible turn is going to be here around 222.70. The next spot is going to be here for me around 223.5, right? Support, touch, congestion in the area, and now resistance, right? Touch, and let's see if Amazon trades back up. It's at a short term because this is, again, the 2 and the 5-minute chart that I'm kind of flipping between the two. And I'll make it a little bit bigger so you guys can see. There is resistance because it was support and now it's resistance. And it already, as I said, touched that earlier today, fell back down to the support level, and now it's resistance again. You should be able to look back again on a chart like this and pick out very important support and resistance levels all day long, right? Support. And it touched here, big move away, touched here. And I talk about this a little bit in the cheat sheet. Again, if you want to type look in the comments, because this is all about looking left. Look left. You're always looking left to get that next level. Support, right? Bounce. And in my opinion, you have to just master this support and resistance levels in order to be a good trader. So I hope that was helpful to you. If you have any questions about support and resistance, I'm happy to answer them. Personally, I'm a very visual learner and very visual with charts. So support and resistance came really easily to me when I was first learning to trade and first starting to trade. I totally got the concept and we would get homework, right? Draw support and resistance on a chart. It was a piece of paper back then, not a computer. And I could do that very easily, but I knew other people that I was in the class with, friends of mine, who had a lot of trouble with support and resistance. So I get that it may not come as easily to some people as others. So if you have any questions about it, I'm happy to help with it. Feel free to ask questions in the comments. I try to respond to every one of those, and I am happy to help any way I can. Thanks for watching the video. If it was helpful, please hit like and subscribe, and I'll keep making videos like this. Thanks.